James Cameron, it's nice to meet you. Let me introduce myself. My name is Sonny Augustine. I'm a writer. I've written a series of books, of which I've dedicated them to the animals of this planet. Not just to the animals, though. I've dedicated them to all the animals that this planet has killed, and to all the animals that are still enslaved upon this earth. Now I'm sending a message to you on behalf of the animals, a message of gratitude for your decision to go vegan and plant-based. By adhering to this lifestyle, it puts us into a teeny minority. Even though there's tons and tons of almond milks and great alternative meats, people that actually eat a plant-based diet are less than 2% of this planet, which is heartbreaking. When you think of energy and life forms within everything on this planet, the largest atrocity in the known universe is taking place on Earth right now. 70 billion land animals, 1.7 trillion aquatic life forms killed every single year, so people can eat a diet which is improper. And I've said this before in other videos, if we were felines, I could justify eating meat. The number one cause of death on Earth is heart disease, cardiovascular disease, heart attacks, strokes. The number one cause of cardiovascular disease, cholesterol, found only in animal products. There's no bad cholesterol in any fruits or vegetables. Now I understand I'm probably preaching to the choir by telling you these things, because you being a vegan, 100% plant-based, I understand that you've already made a conscious decision to join the right side of history. On behalf of the animals, I'd like to show you a book that I wrote. This is a book that if you turned into a movie, will be more successful than Avatar. It will also have far-reaching impact on this planet. This is a book which will give a voice to the animals of this existence, to the voiceless entities that are being slaughtered on a daily basis on this planet. Now, for years, I wanted to write a book, but I never had a concept. No visions, no ideas came to me. I knew I wanted to write something. A couple years after I went vegan, I was bombarded by these concepts and ideas. This is the first book I wrote. It's called Animal Lex talionis. And basically, lex talionis is a Latin word. What it means is retaliation. So it's essentially the animal's law of retaliation. Lex talionis can also be interpreted as an eye for an eye. So a quick summary of my concept that came to me. I had been vegan for a few years and I was just ecstatic. But I was disheartened to see the way that the rest of the community and society looked on veganism. People were downright hostile against it. And it started to really bother me the more I thought about these life forms being taken out of existence to destroy human health, to burn down the Amazon rainforest and completely destroy our planet. So this idea came to me. What if someone was actually psychically linked to the animal's suffering? In this book concept, the main character, Spirit Argento, he's linked to the animals. And this causes him horrible pain and suffering throughout his existence. He's constantly in trouble as a juvenile. He goes through all these different cycles in life. What he decides to do is fight back on behalf of the animals of Earth. Not by protesting, not by taking a passive account, but by actually physical combat and fighting. He joins the military, goes through the military machine, learns the necessary skills to wage his war on behalf of these animals. After this time, he goes into college, he meets a lady, and she's actually, the lady that he meets believes in nonviolence, as most of the animal rights activists on this planet do. So there's huge turmoil between his ideas of using violent methods for the animals and his girlfriend's method for using non-violent methods. So these two components come into play. There's a couple torn apart by how they want to go about saving the animals of Earth. He leaves her and essentially launches a brutal mission to save the animals of Earth. He attacks slaughterhouses. He joins an underground network called the Animal Power Militia. The Animal Power Militia is led by an individual called Big Trauma. Big Trauma is a huge, monstrous, steroided, massive vegan that is hell-bent on freeing the animals by any means necessary. So as the lead character, Spirit Argento, starts to go about this mission of freeing the animals of Earth, he takes more and more drastic actions as he takes step towards this. And the story follows his girlfriend as she's missing him and still going about nonviolent means and them wanting to get back together. It has a romantic element to it. His activities include attacking the slaughterhouse, as well as multiple other things that he does to try to free the animals. It accumulates with him actually getting a nuclear backpack bomb. And if you look up these little nuclear backpack bombs, when the Russian Federation collapsed, when the Soviet Union fell, a bunch of their weaponry went completely missing from inventories. And this is a true fact. There's actually nuclear backpack bombs that are unaccounted for. Most people believe that the Russian mafia has got a hold of them. But since they're financially motivated, there's been no need for them to detonate these devices. Well, the lead character in the story goes through a series of connections and finds some of the Russian mafia, gets a nuclear backpack bomb, rents a small plane, and he actually drops this bomb onto one of the major slaughterhouse producing administrative facilities in the entire country. Now, while all this is going down, there's been strange signals showing up on all the TVs of Earth. And in comes the kind of alien science fiction type side to the story. They're beings called the highest level beings. They received a telepathic signal from the main character, Spirit Argento, from him channeling all the suffering of the animals out into space. These higher entity beings receive the signal. They come down to Earth. Their basically form is almost pure light, glowing, organic light forms. What they do when they get down, and there's numerous things in the story that lead up to it, numerous details I'm leaving out, but I want to make this video short and brief. What essentially happens is these beings come down to Earth and put the entire human race on trial for crimes and atrocities committed against the animals of this planet. The higher level beings put Earthlings on trial. The entire Earth, which has constantly been divided through nations and regions and religions and everything else that can divide us, has to now come together and formulate who's going to represent the planet as defense. So it goes into who's actually going to take over this scenario and stand up for humans. As the trial progresses, both sides are argued. At the conclusion of the trial, the human race is found guilty for atrocities and crimes against other life forms on this planet. Their sentence is to be imposed. Everything flashes, and all the people that meet and contribute to the harm on this planet find themselves in identical situations that the animals found themselves in. The higher level beings have now upgraded the animals to be in charge of the slaughterhouses, to be in charge of fishing boats, to be in charge of bulls and castration, and every atrocity that humans have inflicted upon animals is now completely reversed. At the end of the story, we find the main hero, Spirit Argento, the individual that went upon a violent mission to free the animals. He's been on the run, isolated. He returns, finds his girlfriend Jade, and now the planet is wide open. With the majority of people off the Earth, the remaining vegan populace can now have their choice of where they want to live. So a new world is set up. New rules are set up. The universities and college now teach new concepts. They teach stuff such as basic sharing, how to work together as a community. The planet is now at the highest level that it's ever been after it's been cleansed of all the ongoing atrocities. Throughout the story, people are talking about the cows, and that before cows were enslaved in animal agriculture, the cows used to have a harmonic sound that was the most beautiful sound, almost like singing. It was a frequency that was the most magnificent to the human ears. But since there had been so much suffering to these life forms, they had completely lost the ability to harmonize in this beautiful sound. So one of the conclusions, the very last scenes of the book, the main character's spirit is outside. They live in this beautiful mansion. There's grass, and he sees a cow coming up, wandering toward him. Well, his wife comes out, and these little squirrels that he was looking at run off, and he screams and cusses at her for scaring the animals off. And she says, "You better wash your mouth out with soap. I don't want you using that mouth to talk to my baby like that." So she reveals that she's pregnant. She goes back in the house to prepare breakfast, and Spirit Argento's sitting out there just contemplating how great the world is now that everything's been cleansed and refreshed and changed. And at the very end, this cow comes up to him, nudges his head against his arm, and it makes the most beautiful, harmonizing sound, the most incredible frequency that our ears could ever hear, more beautiful than the most beautiful opera singer. The most beautiful sound you could ever imagine comes from this animal. And that's the conclusion of the story. I hope you take the time to read my book. If there's somewhere I can send it to you, a P.O. box, I'll send you a copy. If not, it's available on my website. Regardless if you ever read my work or not, on behalf of the animals, I just want to thank you for standing up to the most voiceless, most tormented creatures in existence. It's going to take all of us to change this ongoing atrocity on our planet. And I believe you're in a position with your filmmaking to make that a reality. I wish you well. And on behalf of the animals, take care and goodbye.